Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever it is you're watching this from. I'm Elliot Upton. This is at UP Fitness Live. This is our Wednesday night, and it keeps pausing due to poor connection, so fingers crossed the Wi-Fi holds out on me tonight. Hello, Andrew Willett. Happy New Year. For those of you who didn't catch my first one of the year, Happy New Year on this one. Lots of stuff going on in 2019. Huge stuff going on for UP in 2019, and I hope for all of you. Now, the reason these live feeds are here to blow through any smoke and mirrors, answer any questions you may have about the fitness industry, about diets, about supplements, about any of our own products, anything from our own gyms and one-to-one personal training packages, to group exercise, to our online personal training programs, one-to-one and Live Up, which is our lowest cost online personal training scheme we actually do. You name it, I'm here to answer it within reason. So be nice to each other, be nice to me. You don't have to be nice to me, but you have to try and be nice to me at the very least. But if you're not nice to me, expect for me to come back at you. We are, of course, recording this for YouTube. This is going to be going on every 2 weeks now, as opposed to every week. So be prepared for that. If you want to catch up on anything that has already been said over the last 12 months, you can go over to Elliot Upton on YouTube and you can see any one of the videos there. Right, we've got loads of you coming in, lots and lots of familiar faces, loads of people waving, saying hi, hello. So hello to you all. Any announcements within UP at the moment? Aside from the massive expansion we have across both the UK, Europe and United States right now, we are always looking for trainers, so check it out. Hannah, welcome in. You're the first person to come in and say anything. We have a huge amount going on out here in UP Marbella. So for those of you who know UP Marbella or want to come out or have been out, then get out soon. We're going to start running big boot camps and seminars out here that myself and possibly one of the other trainers here will head up. We have this week launched our 6-week challenge, which we do every single year. We put a real massive amount of effort into it last year to getting it all set up. We have had over 1,000 people through the doors just this week. That is a mad number of people to have in our group exercise, up to 50 per class. They're absolutely awesome. They're electrifying. They're tiring. We're working some long days. So if any of my team are watching this, Luca, Gio, Sammy, Sam, Cecilia, all of you, thank you. Christina as well, so thank you for all your support. We're having a mega week. There's loads of hours everybody's putting in, but here's a shout out to you. Sonia, thank you for the encouragement you're giving me. 1 press up, I will do that 1 press up, thank you. How are you getting on, Sonia? Are you moving forward on that? I want to see how you're doing. Are you still doing the eccentric loading? Jumbles, 21 week pregnant. Do you think weight training is still safe? Should I be lowering the weights until I feel like I'm struggling? Jumbles, weight training is still safe, providing you're doing it in a controlled manner. Secondly, you want to make sure you're not doing anything unilateral. So for instance, things like lunges, split squats, the sort of things that destabilize your waist a bit are probably not the smartest thing to do. The reason being that the connective tissue within your body, relaxing and elastin, does start to take effect, especially in the 3rd trimester, and it's likely to make you unstable. If you overextend or some of this tissue gets damaged, then on the other side of the pregnancy, when you're trying to recover, you're likely to have looser joints, which is not necessarily a good thing. And I mean looser joints down to the actual bone structure, which can cause a knock-on effect further down the line. So weight training absolutely is going to do you nothing but good. Keep the intensity moderate, keep the weights moderate, and just be careful with exercise selection that it doesn't contraindicate anything that you should be doing. And of course, always check with your doctor. What have we got? Who's next? Rosa. Hey, Rosa. Earlier, I remember you saying that UP was coming to Birmingham this year. Any idea when? I said it might be, possibly, who knows. When, I do not know. You will have to ask Mr. Nick Mitchell himself. For fat loss, is porridge okay with full fruit for breakfast at any time of the day? 95M Goodman, anything's okay technically as long as you're in a calorie deficit and the nutrients are adequate. Now, don't go eating shit. That's not going to work for fat loss. It's going to make you unhealthy. It might work for weight loss, but not fat loss. Is porridge okay for breakfast? It potentially can be, absolutely, providing you're in a calorie deficit. Is it advised for breakfast? Not necessarily. First of all, for 2 reasons. Unless you're really lean, you're not going to utilize the carbs that well. And secondly, more often than not, a carbohydrate-rich breakfast is going to encourage a more ravenous appetite during the day, which is probably, unless you have an iron-like will, probably going to result in you overeating over the rest of the day. So, can you have it on a fat loss diet? Absolutely, yes you can. Should you have it? Depends on your individual, each individual. So, somebody's being kind enough to call an Instagram call during the actual live feed. I don't know why that is, but apologies for that little delay there. Yes, you can have it. Make sure you're in a calorie deficit. Make sure you're lean if you're having carbs first thing, and make sure you have control of your appetite. If you don't have those 3 things, then I would recommend something that is richer in protein and fats. It's going to do you better because it's going to kickstart your digestion. It's going to keep you fuller for much, much longer. It's going to keep your blood sugar stable and not result in any crashes or energy dives. What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Bella Boutique. Hiya. I've had a DEXA scan and my BMR is 1435. I train weights 4 times per week, looking to lose fat. So what would you say roughly my fat loss calories would be? It's not hard to say. I would suggest the majority of people, majority of females, start somewhere around the 1800 mark and see what happens. Unless you're carrying an awful lot of muscle or your training intensity is extraordinarily high. You know, I know some females who eat 3 or 4 or 5,000 calories a day and they burn every bit of it off. I know some females who are in shape only can eat maybe 15, 1600 calories. Any more than that and they start to gain weight. So it's very, very individually dependent. There is no magic number. I would suggest starting maybe with about 1800 and see what happens. What kind of weight gain should be expected when transitioning from diet to maintenance? As little as possible, really. Not necessarily weight gain, because obviously if you're gaining weight, then you're gaining fat again, and that's not what you want to do. If you're going from a diet and you're trying to stay lean and gradually bring your food back up to a healthy point, then you don't really want to be seeing weight gain. You want to stay as lean as you possibly can whilst getting the calories up and meeting your body's metabolic expenditure. So weight gain, no. Jumbles, thank you. I've been doing walking lunges, so I'll steer away from them. Yes, yeah, not advised. It can cause you, not necessarily problems now, but further down the line, you may find that you have knee and hip issues that can be quite severe. How are you? Looks like you've been busy. Hannah, I've been appallingly busy, but all good. We've had, as I say, 1,000 people through the doors just for the group exercise this week. The team have done unbelievably well because we have a really small team out here in Marbella and trying to look after well over 1,000 people a week during group exercise is a serious effort. So a massive shout out to my team. And it has also meant that I've been working, you know, my normal days are long. I love my job. I love my job so much. I love working with UP. My normal days are about 15, 16 hours. But I've got my normal work plus about 3 hours of relatively physical running around, which is now resulting in a much, much longer day, much more tiring day, and I'm still trying to catch up with myself on other stuff. So, but it's fine. I can manage it and I love it. KJ, just join the online plan. Awesome. If it's the live up plan, I will see you in the forum personally, and I will probably be speaking to you at check-ins. If it's one-to-one, you will have been allocated a trainer already or will be about to be. But either way, I'll see you in the forum, so make sure you say hi. Nick Brev, what's up? A Carter, what's up? Hello. Elias, opinion on tart cherry juice post or intra-workout? I have literally no opinion on that whatsoever. For me personally, if I'm trying to get carbohydrates, if I'm trying to get sugar in, I have food. I tend not to do it in liquid because I feel like it's a waste, and the majority of people who are trying to get lean, having liquid, essentially liquid sugar is not necessarily a good thing. One of our old trainers here at UP Marbella, who's now in one of our London gyms, Sean Estrago, his metabolism was absolutely astonishing. He would eat 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day and still get lean. He struggled to gain weight, and that's what he had to do. Now he started drinking fruit juices intra, pre, all over the place just to try and get his calories up. So there is something to be said for it. For the majority of people out there who are trying to get lean, stay lean, and have trouble controlling their appetite, eat proper food. Post-workout protein shake is low. Post-workout protein shake is how important is it? Right, I'll wipe that bit. How important is a morning protein shake? Should you also have breakfast after? Iro, I would suggest if you're training, try not to train fasted unless you've got muscle to lose. If you've got a ton of muscle, then it can be beneficial. If not, then I wouldn't recommend training fasted. You can have a ton of Amplify, which is our intra-workout supplement, which will offset any muscle wastage and also keep your endurance up there a little bit. If not, protein shake pre-workout is great. And yes, you absolutely should have breakfast afterwards. You said no chest exercise for women, so none at all. I said I don't choose to do chest exercises for women, you know, bench press and things like that. If a girl wants to do them, then I'll teach her how to do them. But for me specifically, what I tend to stick to is overhead pressing, okay, shoulder pressing, variations thereof, and dips. The reason being is the majority of women, because they have boobs, because they may have some insecurity, because of all of the usual issues that tend to plague women, is instead of having a good posture, most women are rounded like that. Now, if you're training somebody's chest regularly, they tend to round even further. This is not a good look. It's not a good look aesthetically. Secondly, it's not a healthy way. They're likely to injure themselves because they're already put in that position. You then train them further into that position. Third, their shoulder blades are not in a good position. Their shoulders are not stable. Thirdly, for me personally, and most of the females I know, having a jacked chest that sticks out the top of a bra like that is not a good look. Some people are into it, others are not. If you're into it and you want me to train you that way, then I'll train you that way. For me personally, as I'm writing a program for aesthetics, which is what most females come to me, we're not talking about bodybuilders, we're not talking about people who want to get up on stage and look vascular and dry and grainy. For the majority of women walking around the street, they don't want a big jacked chest. So what I do is I balance them structurally more than anything with a combination of basic dip work and overhead pressing, which I think for me is a preference because it's going to build a better, stronger structure and also better shape whilst keeping someone healthier. But each one of you, if you want to do it, do it. I know plenty of women who bench press. Amal, what are my thoughts on ketosis? Ketosis for body composition is pretty much useless in my opinion. It has its uses for people who have blood sugar issues, has its uses for people who have various other medical ailments, but with regards to what we do specifically, trying to get people in shape, I would highly recommend against it for multiple reasons. First and foremost, ketosis is ultimately, in the fitness industry, a bit of a sales plan. If I tell you that I can get you in shape, if you give me £1,000, whatever, and I tell you I can get you in shape. Now, one of the diets I give you is green vegetables and it's proteins and it's the things that you probably think are a bit of a chore to eat. Or the other diet for the same amount of money, coached by the same person, is cheese and cream and bacon and sausages and burgers. Which one are you going to pick? Of course, you're going to pick the one that tastes nice and the one that sounds more appealing. Number one, it's a sales ploy. Number two, the majority of people do not execute it properly, partially because it's not taught properly, but the majority of people kind of take the piss in it. They just start shoveling tons of cheese down their throat. It's not good. Thirdly, it tends to advocate not eating many fruits or vegetables. So you're going to start to lack in very many nutrients. You're going to lack in fiber quite often. I just don't think it's a very good thing. Ultimately, if you're taking macronutrients away, there's a chance that you're putting yourself in a calorie deficit. Just figure out how to put yourself in a calorie deficit whilst mixing tons of nutrients in the form of fruits and vegetables, like the Live Up Online plan. Mixing good, healthy, ideally lean proteins with a mixture of less lean proteins, absolutely. And carbohydrates as needed based on your size, based on your strength, based on your training output, based on everything else. Don't take one thing out in favor of piling on calories elsewhere. I don't think it's smart. So ketosis, no, not a massive fan of it. Thanks for the detailed reply regarding porridge. No problem, 95. You're most welcome. Evening, Ben. You're welcome at Bella Boutique. Question specific to my check-in, if that's okay. You advised a tin of tuna on my training days, reduce fats on other days. Just wondering the reasoning for this. Why specifically tuna? Just because it's a very, very lean protein and it's very easy to carry around. So you can chuck it in your bag. It's not going to go off. You can have it mobile. You know, you can throw it in your car, whatever. Really, really easy to have about you. Easy to open, crack the top, quickly shovel it in. It's just convenience. And it's going to give us about an extra 25 grams of protein a day. It's also going to increase meal frequency. So it's A, not hard to get hold of and eat. B, it's going to increase our protein intake. C, it's going to increase food intake frequency, which for somebody who's trying to gain muscle is really, really important. Those are the three basics behind it. Deso, hello. Lauren Will, you often recommend a lot of different supplements during these chats. Do you really need them? I don't like the idea of lots of supplements. Lauren, pretty much 99% of you out there do need them. Partially because you're malnourished through choice and poor choices of food. Secondly, because you drink or you don't drink enough, or you are not eating the correct foods or the balance of correct foods. Third and finally, because 99% of the foods that you eat, even with the best of intentions, don't have the nutrients that they should have in them. The reason being is that soil no longer has nutrients. We farm food so dramatically now and on such mass that the soil doesn't have any nutrients left to give it to them. The majority of it is fed synthetically anyway. Even if you get the best organic food in the world, the chances are it's still lacking in the nutrients you think it has in it. So yes, supplementing with specific nutrients is very, very important, especially the ones that have major effects on the body. 99% of people who take a really good multivitamin, some vitamin D, some zinc and magnesium, see a massive difference in their body, their brain, within a week or so. It does make a huge difference, yes. Is it completely essential? No, you're not going to die if you don't take them. That to me is what I would define as essential. But is it advised? Absolutely is advised. Would I tell everyone I know who wants to stay healthy, wants to stay in shape and wants to get fit long term to take them? Absolutely, yes, I would. Hermin, Spanish, Gigi. Okay. Do you recommend snacks before bed? I don't not recommend them. Do what you want. En Espanol, please. Unfortunately, no, Hermina, I can't do it in Espanol because my Espanol es muy malo, lo siento. I need to lose a large amount of weight. Would 3 times a week, 4 body weights workout be a good place to start with 2 to 3 HIIT sessions a week? 95, I would suggest starting with the 3 sessions a week, 3 weight training sessions a week, intense and full body. Then see what happens. What you want to try and do, and I think, you know, I've put a few videos up on this recently in January with regards to don't go too far too soon. Let's say, for instance, you go in and you do 3 weight training sessions a week and 3 HIIT sessions a week, but you could have lost exactly the same amount of weight on just the 3 weight training sessions a week, okay? You then can cruise on that. If suddenly you plateau, you say, do you know what, I'll add 1 more session because I have plenty of time. If then you plateau a bit later on, you can add 1 more session or you can shift some stuff around. If you go in too hard really, really early, unless you're after a really quick transformation, in which case, yes, potentially go in a little bit harder. But for the majority of people who have a lot of weight to lose, it's better to do as little as you possibly can for the greatest result. That way, you leave some more tools in your box just in case something goes wrong. You leave yourself more room to progress later down the line. Charlotte Lindstrom, I work out 4 days, 1 cardio, eat restricted calories and do steps for a long-term goal. I have an important event in 2 weeks. Is there anything I can do for really quick progress for that? Yeah, in future, don't try to diet yourself down in 2 weeks. This is one of the major reasons why most women end up a complete mess when it comes to their bodies, their hormones, etc., because they try to panic. Secondly, is there anything you can do? No, not really, just be consistent. Don't cheat. You know, the majority of people who are hard dieting are also smashing a ton of Haribo or they're smashing a load of chocolate or they're crashing because they've gone too hard and they haven't given themselves enough lead time. I recommend to everybody, give yourself enough time to diet down to wherever you want to be. Once you are there, aim to stay 2 weeks away from anywhere with a simple change. You know, stay at a level of body fat that if you decide I have an event or I have a holiday, you can easily make 1 change and get down there low body fat. Dependent on how your diet is, the only thing maybe you can suggest is a low carb. Low carb is going to dry you out just a little bit more, but again, depends what you're doing, how you're doing it, and your general dietary resilience, because it may be as damaging as it could be beneficial. I haven't trained for 3 months and put on a lot of weight, belly fat, thighs, bum. I'm working on my training program to diet to start over the weekend. Would you advise start with weight training? Absolutely, Rosa. Yes, always prioritize weight training. 3 to 4 weight training sessions a week should be the staple of your training program. That is what they should be based up on. Anything else on top of that is a secondary priority. It's something that you can build up over time, but make sure 3 to 4 full body weight training sessions per week. I can't have whey protein and those containing gluten. What are your thoughts on hemp protein? Use the ones you can have and use the ones that don't cause you any problems. If you want a hemp protein or a vegan protein or anything like that, then go and find one that is adequate. I believe that our vegan whey protein, the chocolate hazelnut one, by the way, tastes amazing. Get on it. Our vegan whey protein, which you can get from upfitness.com, I believe that is gluten-free and it does taste absolutely awesome. So give that a go. With regards to which ones you should take, figure out which one that agrees with you, the ones you like or ones that you can take steadily, and you'll be fine. Best way or sites to measure body fat calipers. Chris, massive question. Caliper readings, the ones we do is actually a 14 site. We do everything from the face down to the calf. And 14 sites across the body. To go through them all, it's a bit difficult, but it depends on how you go. You know, ultimately a caliper reading has still got massive amounts of variation in it. Someone is holding more water, their body fat is going to show way off. Someone could be absolutely diced on their upper body. A lot of females have this issue. They could be dry, lean, super shredded on their upper body, but carry a lot of hamstring fat, for instance. This could then show their body fat up as 23, 24, 28% when they're clearly not. This is why I'm not a massive fan. Me personally, I'm not a fan of caliper readings. I don't like them at all. It's one of the reasons I don't ask for any body fat readings whatsoever on the Live Up plan. I don't ask for any weight whatsoever on the Live Up plan. All that is important to me is how you look. So none of this neuroticism occurs in weighing yourself and measuring yourself and this, that, and the other. If you want to do calipers, then something like Charles Poliquin methods, or the ones that we use, which is 14 sites, you can use them, but I wouldn't hang everything on them. If you can get a DEXA scan, that's going to be far more accurate. Hero, is it necessary post-protein shake or better just to eat food? It's not necessary, but it's helpful because it's another high-quality form of protein that's easily absorbable. Silky, what's up? Thanks for the answer on ketosis. You're no problem at all. Amar. Kiki, sorry if this is a stupid question, but is there an optimum time to take fish oil, like magnesium at night, also 30 grams at once or 10 grams with each meal? Kiki, there isn't an optimum time that I'm aware of. I would probably, just because it's a fat, and fats can actually be quite a well available source of energy. Maybe take them earlier in the day, and there's definitely something to be said for taking them separately, you know, splitting them up across meals. Reason being is that if you take too much and it's all sitting in your stomach, you're going to stink like fish. If you burp, you're going to stink someone out. It's going to smell like you're a fishmonger's fingers, which isn't nice. Best way to get quad separation, doing regular squats, deadlifts, lunges, dieting, basically. You know, you can vary your stance on various leg movements with regards to getting bigger quads in various places, you know, depending on whether you want to go wide or narrow. You can vary your range and your depth depending on when you develop the VMO or you want to develop vastus lateralis. But with regards to actual separation, in my opinion, it's going to be diet. You know, you want to see separation. You have to diet down to crazy body fat levels. You know, people say high reps for separation and definition. It's not really high reps for separation and definition. To me, that's not really doing anything to the difference in the muscle. What that's doing is just burning more fuel. If you're burning more fuel, you're burning more calories. If you're burning more calories, you're probably going to get leaner faster. It's not actually that it's having an effect on the muscle tissue. It's having an effect on the amount of calories you burn. What's the best way to strengthen your knee when you're coming back from an injury? Hurts during most leg press. This for my other half. It's hard to say because I don't know what the injury is. I can't see how the knee's moved. I can't palpate any of the specific areas on the leg. Depends what's atrophied. It's too big a question. Overhead pressing with dumbbells or military press with barbell. Female lifter, how many sets and reps? Either or, try both of them, enjoy both of them with regards to sets and reps, depends on your training goal. And again, I would suggest varying them. For the majority of females, you will respond really, really well from anything to 8 to 20 reps, so play around with it. Bigger lifts, always go heavier as you can. Also, when you say train for aesthetics, do you still do the big lifts, compound lifts? Yes, absolutely. Aesthetics or anything else, it's all about squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, bench press. Okay, all of the dumb shit that everybody adds to it is just accessory work. It's just stuff, you know, the majority of people who you see getting up on stage and you see doing these things, they kind of look a lot like that anyway. The people who are at the elite level, the people who are at the very world championship level of these things, the people that we tend to aspire to be and think, oh, I want to look like that, I want to look like that. You're never going to look like that. These are the genetic elite. That is why they do what they do. They are shaped that way anyway. Now, ultimately, it's the squats, the deadlifts, the bench presses, the pull-ups, and variations thereof that give them the size and give them the shape. Yes, you can tweak little bits with a bit of isolation work, but the majority of your programs, for everyone, irrelevant of goal, should always be the big compound lifts. They are what make the difference. It's 10 weeks to hit hard for a holiday. I'm assuming you're about to finish that with, is it long enough? Then yes, it is, absolutely. Are you going to Body Power Expo? Stufa, I've actually thought about this year because I can't stand Body Power. It's full of bell ends and they're all acting more bell endy than they ever act at any other point in the year, so I tend to try not to go. But there's a part of me that thinks maybe I should go because I know there'll be a lot of you lot there, there'll be a lot of other people there that maybe I should be meeting, a lot of people that I converse with now via YouTube or via Instagram, so we'll see. I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no, because I'm a bit of a grumpy bugger when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I might say I'm going to go and end up not going, so I'm not going to confirm that just yet. Thank you for your advice. No problems, Rosa. Is 10 weeks a good length of time to hit hard for holiday? Low carb and lots of weaving, training, cardio. How low would you go with carbs? I'm very active. Wiley, it depends on you specifically. I can't give you a specific diet advice on that because I don't know how much muscle you carry. I don't know your genetic history. I don't know your medical history. I don't know how hard you train. I don't know what you've done in the past. I don't know how you're eating now. You get the picture? It's very, very hard for me to give you information like that when I'm looking at you on a tiny little picture this big on a yellow screen. Hard to say. Is 10 weeks enough for the majority of people? Unless you are absolutely massive, 10 weeks is usually more than enough for 99% of people to get a pretty decent transformation if they're consistent. But therein lies the challenge, consistency. Is whey protein essential for getting lean whilst putting on muscle? Even though my diet is on point, I was wondering if I can stop using whey. It's absolutely not essential, no. It's useful, absolutely useful, because it's an added source of protein, good quality protein usually, that's rapidly absorbable after your training session, but is it necessary? Not at all. I use Body Tracks machine, nice and easy, there you go. Amy Casting Memories, what's up? Saffron, amen, amen to you too. How do I get quads like the CrossFit Valkyries? I've got no idea who the CrossFit Valkyries are, so I'm not sure. Maybe ask them. So compound lifts, can I do alternatives, e.g. split squats, dumbbell, deads? You can, yeah. I mean, The difficulty with dumbbell deads, you're probably going to be able to deadlift, what, 60, 80, 100 kilos. What's your heaviest dumbbell deadlift? 30 kilos. How much adaptation is that actually going to give you? Probably not much. To all of you out there, irrelevant of your goal, if your goal is strength, do compound lifts. If your goal is fat loss and weight loss, do compound lifts. If your goal is mobility and fitness, do compound lifts. This is not a secret. Like, the one thing of all of this shit in the fitness industry that has just gone on and on and on, and all these crazy little fads and everything that's messed about for years and years and years, the one thing for thousands of years that has stuck, one thing that has stuck is weight training. Picking up something bloody heavy, putting it down again, and repeating that cycle over and over again. If you choose not to train hard for whatever reason, expect your results to be slightly less than the person next to you who is deadlifting, who is squatting. It's just that simple. And you're welcome. Wiley, no problem. Deb, my energy levels are so mad lately, especially since I've cut down an epilepsy tablet. Can you burn it? Can you burn itself too much? Sorry, Deb, repeat that question a bit. I'm not sure I quite understand it. If it's generally, can you burn something too much? Can you burn yourself out? Absolutely, you can burn yourself out. If you're not resting enough, you're not recovering enough, then yes, you can cause yourself a lot of problems. If you're not eating enough, you can cause yourself a lot of problems. If you're not drinking water properly, yes, you can cause yourselves a lot of problems. If you are training too much, if you're training too frequently, you can cause yourselves a lot of problems. So yes, absolutely. Claire Max Scott, I struggle with dips. How should I start them? The easiest thing for me, just to get your triceps working and start to mobilize yourself into the movement, is a seated dip. So that would be like with a bench behind you and dipping on it like that. And then as you can progress to that, use an assisted machine or a banded dip, where you actually get on a freestanding bar and you either put a band under your knees or an assisted machine pad under your knees, then start working on that. And gradually over time, as you get comfortable, take resistance away, so you're getting less and less help until eventually you can do it with your body weight. That's the best way to do it. You can also use that in an eccentric manner, so you can start at the top of a dip and slowly lower yourself into it. Gradually that gets better and better and better until you can push your way back out of it. There's a number of different ways. The key is to just start them. Charlotte, what's the difference in between women who both lift heavy but get very, very slim thighs versus the ones who get very muscly thighs? Is there anything they do differently? It's usually genetics. Some people are going to grow, some people are not. You know, it's muscle shape. There could be marginal differences in their diet, you know. One of the things that a lot of girls worry about, and I hear this every single day, is, oh no, I get massive if I weight train. I get massive if I weight train. You don't get massive if you weight train. You get massive if you weight train and you're eating too much. If you're giving your body tons and tons of calories and way too much protein, maybe you're one of these people who gets absolutely jacked, but it's highly unlikely. Girls don't tend to get that jacked unless they're taking some extra things that they probably shouldn't be taking. But the majority of you out there are going to get slimmer when you weight train. Your thighs are going to get slimmer. The only way to really manipulate your body in the right way to get you bigger is to train consistently over time in the same way that you would for losing size, and then absolutely smashing a ton of protein in. This is the most common thing I find, and one of the things I try to teach girls and Live Up is that some of you out there, especially the fitness conscious, the ones who do really put the effort into getting in shape, you just eat too much protein, which is why you end up jacked, or more jacked than you want to be. That simple, you know. I'll put it in perspective. A lot of you out there, maybe you're thinking, well, we'll have 4 or 5 meals a day. So you have 150, 200 grams of chicken in meal 1. You have protein shake after your workout, 30 to 50 grams. You have 150 to 200 grams, then you have 152 grams, then you go out at night and you eat a steak, which is 300 grams from a restaurant. You've just eaten 900 grams of meat plus a shake. You're looking at about maybe 250 grams of protein there. Okay, that's a standard day for some women. Now, some girls can get away with it, and some girls really want to be bigger. The majority of you out there who don't necessarily want to get bigger, that's too much. You know, and again, one of the things you've got to remember is most of you are weighing that cooked. So in reality, it's probably 25% more than that. You're actually eating far more than you think you're eating sometimes with regards to protein, and that can sometimes result in you being a little bit bigger. However, there are just genetic differences between girl to girl. Did I just hear you say if you're not drinking water properly? Absolutely. If you're not drinking water properly, if you don't drink enough of it, it can make you crash. You get absolutely knackered. I know when I'm dehydrated because I'm absolutely exhausted and my brain doesn't work. On that note, Steffi, what's up? What's your thought on amino acid tablets? Would you use that as an alternative to protein shakes? You can do F-Bright, you absolutely can do. I did use amino acids for years. Now there's a bit of a grey area with amino acids now. People are questioning their uses. Leucine is the more prominent one, which is why we've loaded our our intra-workout supplement Amplify with it. But yeah, absolutely, it can't harm you. What are your views on Westerners and carbs causing obesity? I don't think carbs are necessarily causing obesity. Calories are causing obesity, and too many carbs are causing a lack of insulin sensitivity and potential for inflammation and chronic diseases, which then in turn can exacerbate the issues of obesity. Do I think it's carbs? Not necessarily. I think it's calories, and I think there's a combination of other things going on there because of carbohydrates that can potentially contribute to it. But I don't necessarily think it's just straight up carbs. Carbs are not the devil. Carbs are very, very friendly to you, even on a fat loss diet, providing you use them correctly and you deserve them. Claire Scott, Magic, thanks for the help. You're welcome, Claire. What are the ingredients of Amplify? Amplify has a load of leucine in it. It has glutamine, it has electrolytes. Go over to upfitness.com and you can check that out. The glutamine is in there. It helps the gut, it helps with preventing any kind of fat gain. It helps from preventing muscle breakdown. It does all sorts of things. Glutamine's a very, very clever one because I believe it mimics a bunch of other amino acids. If needed, glutamine can be stolen to create other things that are needed by the body. Leucine is the most prominent amino acid when it comes to muscle building. It helps to increase protein protein synthesis, and increases the length of time at which protein synthesis is used. There's also some glycine, I believe, in Amplify, which allows for better uptake of the amino acids, because obviously it's all very well drinking them, but if your body can't use them, it can't shuttle them into the muscle, they are useless. And it has electrolytes to replenish the vitamins and minerals lost when you're training, and can get mega pumps from it all. So glutamine's amazing for pumps as well. Go over to upfitness.com and check that out. Just type in Amplify in the search bar and you'll see. Not recovering well after 4 workouts. Physically fine, but mentally feel tired. Carbs are 100 grams over the day. Protein, 150 grams, 1500 fat loss. It's hard to say. I mean, mentally, you're probably telling yourself you're feeling tired. Remember, carbohydrates put you to sleep, but I don't think you're having enough there. I would suggest making sure you have the majority of your carbs in your last 2 meals. Fats look about right, just maybe calories may be low, that's all. Hard to say there. Elliot, the missus has started training and diet and using a transformation book. Can you please tell her not to weigh herself for every day? Danny Wade's missus, if you are watching this, do not, under any circumstances, weigh yourself every day, you nutcase. I hope that worked, Danny. Right, how long after your workout should you have the post-workout meal? I like to advise about an hour. Best ab exercises to help them pop out. There isn't a best ab exercise to help them pop out. Diet is going to help them pop out more than anything. The leaner you get, the better your abs are going to be. If I were to pick a few good ab exercises, first and foremost is just a basic crunch on the floor. Why? Because it allows you to actually learn how to recruit your abs and feel them properly. Secondly, it would be a reverse crunch, reverse incline crunch ideally. And the third would be a slow eccentric decline crunch. All 3 of those can be Googled if you want to know what they are. For weight loss, what is the average daily protein target? I currently have around 100 grams a day, just wondering if it's too much, too little. Rach, there's no answer to that because my protein target versus your protein target versus another girl's protein target versus another guy's protein target is all very, very different. There isn't enough. To put it in a ballpark, the majority of females on the Live Up plan, for instance, I start at anywhere between 80 and 100. Now, some of you out there may think, oh, it's so low. It's not. The reason being is that the majority of females' digestive systems can't deal with too much protein. So what I like to do is start on the low side and build them up as I know they're capable of it. So 80 to 100 is probably about right. Obviously, you then need to balance the rest of your calories around that. You're welcome, Danny. MLBT, hello to you. That's run out of questions. I'm going back for my drink. Oh, flying through this, looks like we're on form. Remember, for all of you who used to come here every single Wednesday and come and see me and get into the live feeds every single Wednesday night, we do them every other Wednesday now. So I'm only going to be here every other Wednesday. Please do remember that. But I will get back to filming these. It's on the camera right there. It'll be going up on YouTube at the end of each one. Right. Front hip flexors painful, sore during and after squats. Could this be from keeping the torso too upright, causing anterior pelvic tilt? Probably not, Jack Woodford. My guess is your glutes are probably quite weak and your TFL, which I think you're probably referring to as your hip flexor, which is kind of just underneath and to the right or the left of the bony process on your hip. It's called your TFL. It's probably working too hard to help abduct your leg because your glutes are maybe not working hard enough. So get your glutes working properly. Do 10 minutes of activation before you start squatting and stretch out your TFL and hip flexors beforehand. Then try it again, see what happens. Started working out in the gym. Is it worth getting a protein shake? If so, which is the best to use? It's absolutely worth getting a protein shake. Yes, Matt. The reason being is it's going to help kickstart recovery. It's going to improve your results over time, and getting an extra source of good quality protein into your diet is always going to be beneficial for you. What is the best to use? Of course, UP Fitness. You can go to our website, upfitness.com, and you can get one of our whey proteins, or you can get the vegan whey, depending on how you feel like it, you know, what you want to try. But either way, just get a good quality one. T-bar rows, any good versus cable row? Very, very good. They kind of serve quite different purposes. T-bar rows on the whole, they're going to be more metabolic because usually you're supporting your entire body. The hand position is different. Cable rows slightly different. Often you're seated. Both of them have their place. If you were to take one that was more effective for gaining size and fat loss, I would say a T-bar row. However, the majority of gyms may not have a T-bar row. Some do, some don't. So almost all gyms I've ever been in my life have a cable row. So whichever one you do happen to have, just switch your grip on a cable row. Make sure you're doing some wide, some narrow, some supinated, some pronated. Is a low carb phase necessary at the beginning of a fat loss diet to handle more carbs later on in the diet? It's not necessary, vibe, but it is extremely helpful. And it also comes down somewhat to how much muscle you're carrying and how lean you already are. If I take on someone who's already quite muscular and already pretty lean, I'm not going to low carb them. Basically because it causes unnecessary suffering. It gives people too much, sometimes if you can't have really, really strict guidance on it, it sometimes gives people too much neuroticism over carbohydrates, thinking they're the enemy when they are not. Some people it is necessary for, some people it is not. The majority of people who are inflamed from a poor diet previously, it can be really, really beneficial, but not absolutely necessary. Ultimately, what is necessary for you to be able to handle more carbs later is to be lean. Get yourself lean. Doesn't matter whether you're doing it with carbs or without carbs. Of course, having less carbs can help, but get yourself lean. If you get yourself lean, there's a damn good chance that you're going to be far more insulin sensitive, and the nutrient partitioning when you're being given carbs is far more effective. Matt, you're welcome. Charlotte Lindstrom, should I stretch after every weight session or is a separate stretch session once? I'd stretch 10 to 15 minutes after every weight session if you have time. It can be really, really beneficial, definitely. Well, listening to you just made my half hour on a treadmill a little less dreadful. I'm glad to hear that, S.E. Scott. Thank you very much. I should do these on the treadmill, really, shouldn't I? Use the hour a bit more. Do you know anything about diastasis recti? I do indeed. When it pulls apart during pregnancy. Google vids not help, my tongue looks awful. So diastasis recti, for anyone out there, is when the female abdominal wall pulls apart during pregnancy. Depends what you need to know. I'm assuming you've had the baby now, and I'm assuming it's stayed apart. I know I don't do sit-ups or anything that makes it worse. 14 months and it's still protruding. Unfortunately, my own fitness, you could just be one of the unlucky ones. It does happen to some people. Hopefully you didn't do any exercise too soon. Like, I ban anyone. I do not allow anyone within my presence to do any exercise at all until at least 12 weeks. I mean at all, other than say walking, until at least 12 weeks postpartum, and then get them to make sure that their doctor has checked it. Unfortunately, if it has pulled apart and you're 14 months on, the chances are it is not coming back in. You may have to, you know, the only option, I know a girl at our gym, amazing shape, but she had exactly the same. She had to have surgery to get hers wired back in. So unfortunately, hard to say there. Did you start training and did you start exercising quite soon after the pregnancy? Charlotte, and what is your thought on gluten and dairy? If you're not intolerant to it, not really a massive issue. Dairy, I'm not a huge fan of. Purely because the amount of chemicals contained in it and the fact that people get carried away with it. You know, let's look at cheese. 99% of the girls I know and guys I know are obsessed with cheese. If I say, yes, you can have a little bit of cheese in your diet, they eat 3 kilos a day, and it does my head in. So I'd rather take it away rather than trust someone to only take an inch when I give them an inch. Secondly, with the way cattle are reared and cows are kept pregnant, essentially kept pregnant and lactating through chemicals, you are taking an awful lot of harmful shit in dairy products. Even the best organic, with the best intention of the world, the best organic products, you're usually still taking in quite a lot of crap that isn't necessarily good for you. For females, it's going to, both males and females, it's likely to increase estrogenic toxicity, which, you know, bitch tits in men, low sex drive, you know, to put it quite bluntly, a soft boner. And in females, really bad PMS symptoms, bad mood swings, potential infertility, fat storage around your bum, thighs and arms. So these things are usually signs and symptoms of estrogenic toxicity. Taking dairy out can make a massive, massive difference to that, and it can really help the gut as well. So gluten, it can be helpful to take out for everybody, but is it necessary? Not so much. I'm yet to find someone who hasn't been helped by removing dairy from their diet. Now that's not to say that you have to remove it completely, but it is to say don't go shoveling shit down your, you know, don't go drinking milk and cheese and all this every single day. Once a week, maybe have a little bit of feta cheese in your salad, for instance, not an issue. But the amount that people drink and the amount of dairy that people eat, you know, quite often it's a staple of a day-to-day meal plan. I'm not a massive fan of that, especially the fitness conscious out there who love eating yogurt and quark. Don't necessarily think it's a smart idea. Last question, then I'll shut up. You can ask as many questions as you like, Joanne. My husband said that I'm asking too many questions. No, she's good, she's fine. Post-workout, gummy bears or Cocoa Pops, read up on it being effective for an insulin spike in transportation. Listen, for this stuff, it's the same old shit. Like there's so many people who are using tools like this to make diets enjoyable and write this article on this. Yes, of course, it's going to stimulate the release of insulin. Insulin is going to open up the muscle cells. Muscle cells are going to increase uptake of nutrients. So theoretically, yes. However, what you've just turned around there is, I'm going to have gummy bears or Cocoa Pops. I'm going to take in a load of shit. I'm going to eat a ton of shit after my workout, and I'm going to find a way of justifying why I'm eating shit. Or as a coach, I'm going to tell you to do this because it's going to make you think, oh yeah, this guy's dieting's amazing. I'm going to post it up on Instagram, and they're going to say, oh, my coach lets me eat Cocoa Pops and gummy bears, and then 10 other people are going to say, oh, I want your coach. Of course people do this. It's a million different ways to skin a cat. You can do the same thing just as easily, I believe, with glycine. Glycine is going to help do exactly the same thing and help shuttle nutrients into the system, but glycine's a lot less interesting. Putting a scoop of glycine in your post-workout shake is a lot less interesting than eating a bag of gummy bears or a bowl of Cocoa Pops, right? And it's also not going to sell PT packages for your PT. So, I didn't do anything major till 16 weeks, had a scan, it's 4 centimeters wide. You may have done it too soon, you just may not have healed. NHS don't deal with it now, it's a case of going private, so yes, maybe it needs surgery. I'm sorry to hear it, but unfortunately it does happen. I do feel for you, because I know how it can sort of play with you. KJ, I love cheese. Everyone loves cheese, which is why I try not to let people have cheese, because they go mental on it. To put it into perspective, so the Live Up plan, I make recommendations that people don't go near dairy. If they want really good results, that they don't go near dairy, at least for a few weeks, to let their gut fix itself, to let their body kind of start to feel the way it's supposed to feel. Now, after a while, everyone was pitching and complaining about cheese, so I was like, okay, I'll let you have maybe 1 serving a day. A week after I said to people, those of you who know you have dietary discipline, you can try doing it. I then got checking emails, and next week, some people, we're talking probably about 20, 30 people, were eating between a ½ kilo and 1 kilo of cheese a week in some form. Because I said, yes, you can have a little bit. Right? This was a piss take. No one is getting in shape properly and healthy eating 1 kilo of cheese a week. Not going to happen. The fact of the matter is, if you can't behave, you don't get to play. Is it bad to have a Sunday roast every day to bulk up? Probably not that bad. Whatever, it's a nice way of doing it. Sonia, I think I need to take dairy out of my diet. Fat in the arms, hips, bum size, crap, I love cheese. There's all sorts of other stuff. What you have to remember, especially for you girls, is that you're also absorbing a ton of estrogens from your cosmetics, the makeups you put on, the moisturizers, the shampoos, shower gels, all these things. You're absorbing so much from this. Alcohol, unfiltered water, chemically enriched food, heavily farmed food. You know, all these vegans who turn around and say, oh yeah, vegan diet is way, way healthier. No, it isn't, because everything, even if you try and eat organic, you're still taking in all of this stuff. So we can't get away from it. What we can do is do our very, 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 very best to minimize what we put in our mouths, or drink, or wash ourselves in, or cover ourselves in, and also do the best to support the detoxification of these things. Now, we've got a supplement called Estro Support. You can find it on upfitness.com, Estro Support, which helps to actually detoxify. It gets these toxins, liberates them from the tissues, sends them to the liver, then the liver tries to get them out of the body, and this supplement also helps that process because there's 3 phases of that detoxification. The first 2 are relatively easy, but the third one, the body kind of, it almost prevents. It uses something called beta-glucuronidase and it binds to the estrogens as they're trying to leave the body and pulls them back in. It's a cruel circle. But Estro Support, go to upfitness.com, Estro Support, it actually helps that process and stops it from happening. So you can really help. Stop putting it in and help get it out. You'd be amazed what happens, even in, you know, a month, a huge difference can happen. Nav, I struggle with my diet, trying to lose fat and lean out. I hate cooking and often go for convenience. Leon, prêt à manger, and vital for brekkie. Any tips on to help improve this? Yeah, want it more, basically. If you don't want it enough, you're going to keep doing that. It's literally that simple. You know, with regards to preparation and getting in shape, some people want it, some people don't. It doesn't boil down to any more than that. Yes, there are plenty of tips, tricks, this, that, and the other. You'll see loads of little infographics on Instagram. The fact is, if you can't be asked to do it, you won't. Harsh, but there we go. With regards to prep, easiest thing to do, easiest thing to do is, number 1, speak to your butcher and ask them if they can put spices on, like if you order a kilo of chicken a day, whatever, say, right, can you just put some spices on it, make it taste nice, but spices, not cover it in butter and sauces and blah, 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 blah. Or get yourself in your cupboard at home a bunch of pre-made pots of mixed spices. They do all sorts in supermarkets now in the UK especially. It's absolutely awesome. Put everything, the way I do it is I put all of my meat and all of my vegetables into one baking tray. One baking tray, first thing in the morning, put the oven in about 160, 180, and I just leave it in there while I shower, while I shave, while I get all my stuff done. By the time I come out, my entire day's food is cooked. And I do the same, I mix it. You know, I put salmon in there, I put chicken, I put everything in. It's just the way I do it, but it's super convenient. Because ultimately my prep time is maybe a minute and a half. I pour a couple of bags of vegetables in, put my kilogram and a half of meat in, sprinkle the same spice over all of it, and then leave, put it in the oven. I come back out, dish it out when I'm done. It's the easiest way. I hate cooking. I hate cooking more than you. I can guarantee you I hate it more than you. It makes me angry, but that's the best way to do it. If you can't do that, you're probably spending there, if you're, let's say you're eating 3 times a day at those things, you're probably spending 30 quid a day on food. 30 quid a day on food could get you meal prep. Like, you could have calorie specific meal prep delivered to your door for that, which is again probably a better choice. Amy Morgan, I'm training for running events. My first race is March. I currently do 1 short run, HRT cardio session, and a long run as well as weight training. Should I be doing more cardio? Not necessarily. You know, if you're training, if you want to run, I would do at least 2 to 3 strength training sessions, heavy weight training sessions per week, because that is going to make you better at running. It's going to allow you to hold a stronger position for longer. A lot of you out there may not believe that, but trust me, I've tried this. I've tested this 1,000 times on 1,000 endurance athlete clients. It does work. Weight train at least 2 or 3 times a week and make sure they're heavy. With regards to your running training, do what you need to. Maybe twice a week, 2, 3 times a week. Start extending your runs. But number 1, make sure you're ideally running with very, very good trainers. Look after your knees and ankles because running does smash them to pieces. And gradually build it up. I can't say that I can give you loads about running. I'm not a massive advocate for running because of the, you know, I did it the other day. A really, really good friend of mine, Hannah Anderson, inspired me to get on the treadmill and start doing a bit of running again. I ran for half an hour. That's all I did. Ran for half an hour. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing tomorrow. But my knees have been in agony for at least 4 days. Reason being is that I'm now 100 kilos and a 100 kilo man isn't built for running. So just look after yourself. Charlotte, thank you. And do you recommend not drinking any coffee at all? Is coffee bad or okay? Charlotte, it's neither or, you know. I would never force someone to or not to. However, I highly recommend you don't drink coffee. That's not to say I would make you not drink coffee as a client, but I highly recommend you don't. It's your choice. Almost every single client in the history of my PT, when I have said give up coffee, they have a few days where they piss and whine and piss, moan, whine and whinge about it. But within a week, 2 weeks, they're saying this is the best thing I've ever done. I'm not bloated anymore. My stomach is digesting food better. I've got more energy. I'm losing fat quicker. I'm doing all of these things. For me, for the majority of people, coffee in itself is not bad. Coffee has become bad because the excesses with which we drink it, and we've got it with dairy, and we've got all these things, it becomes an issue because we've had so much of it. Now, if you take that away, let your gut fix itself, let your body fix itself, let your adrenal glands recover properly. That's not to say you can't put it back in later, but yes, certainly for 99% of people that I've ever met, removing coffee has been unbelievably, immeasurably beneficial for them. How about high protein yogurts? Again, I'm not a fan of dairy, so my opinion doesn't really change on that. Thoughts on fasting, pros and cons, heard good and bad things, don't know whether to try it out. Jack Phillips, the fact of the matter is, you know, I'm not a huge advocate for it because unless you've got a ton of muscle to lose and you're okay with losing muscle and you're okay with losing strength, I wouldn't necessarily say you should be fasting. I know when I fast, my strength plummets. And even through an adaptation period, it continues to go down. So I know I'm losing a lot of muscle. Some people, maybe they've got better testosterone profiles, maybe their body is more resilient to something like that, it can be beneficial. Females, I highly recommend don't fast because they tend to have a much more delicate hormonal system and fasting can mess with it a little bit. However, fasting can also help people who overeat. If you just leave as long as you can until breakfast, for instance, which isn't necessarily fasting, but just eat breakfast as late as possible. Can it be beneficial? Yeah, maybe, because you have a smaller window to eat food during the day, so maybe you're less likely to have cravings later, maybe you're less likely to overeat on other calories. The fact of the matter is it has its pros, it does have its cons. Try it, see how you react to it. Like I say, I know that I lose weight when I do it, but I lose muscle, and I lose a lot of muscle. If you're okay with that, by all means give fasting a go. The people who tend to say, oh, you don't lose muscle when you're fasting, and the people who aren't necessarily just fasting when they're dieting. Do you think probiotics work? I've been researching them, yes, and they're complex but interesting. Gut health linked with lots of other things. 100% yes, my own fitness, it absolutely does. If your microbiome is not working, it's not balanced properly, then nothing else will work. Your gut is the control center for the majority of your body. Now, obviously, we know that the brain controls everything else, but the gut is what sends things to the brain to make them work, neurotransmitters, etc. It all starts in the gut. If something is going wrong in the gut, nothing else in the body works the way it should. Some things are going to be mildly affected, some things are going to be heavily affected. But either way, fix your gut, most other things will follow. This is very, 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 very important. So yes, absolutely, probiotics do work. Fankind, thank you for your advice. Do you have any recommendations for someone traveling frequently, 2 to 3 times a month, jet lagged, miss my training so much? Fankind, first and foremost, you can use magnesium to help you sleep. Take 400 milligrams of magnesium per night. And this does mean even if you're jet lagged, when you do sleep, you get restful sleep. Okay, this is really, really important. Get restful sleep. So magnesium at 400 milligrams a night. You can also take liposomal glutathione. Both of these can be found on upfitness.com. If you need to watch this back later to figure out what they are, or get a pen right now. Liposomal glutathione, which helps reduce oxidative stress on the body. And that's essentially your body rusting. It will help prevent that and stop it from happening, which in turn is going to make you feel really good. And the magnesium just helps you recover better. With regards to scheduling, I travel an awful lot between sort of here, UK, Dubai, etc., especially when I'm going longer haul flights or Asia. It's easier for me. What I tend to try and do is I match my schedule with wherever I'm going. So I match my schedule with when I get home. This does mean sometimes, like my last 2 trips to Dubai, I had 56 hours awake, but I never lose a night's sleep. I'm always straight back on my schedule, and I don't really feel that bad, if I'm honest. So that's how I try to do it. Nick, obviously, Nick Mitchell, our big boss man, he travels a lot and he swears by fasting when he travels. He doesn't eat when he's traveling, doesn't eat when he's on a plane, and sometimes that can be 20 odd hours. He says that works for him. And finally, with regards to training, easiest thing for me to break down, if you go over to my YouTube channel, which is Elliot Upton, that's Elliot with 2 L's and 2 T's, and I've put a playlist in there. Go to the playlist on my YouTube channel, and there's one for basically what I recommend you do when traveling and training. I've also put a bunch of workouts up there, which are really, really easy to do if you have minimal equipment, so that can be useful. Anyone else out there who travels a lot, you can go up there. There's 2, 3, 4 videoed workouts, and a full breakdown of my advice as to what I think you should be doing when you're traveling. Wendy Cameron, loving this live so much, great info. Thank you, Wendy, thank you for saying so. Brady, my BMI says I'm overweight and I agree. I need to lose 3 stones and reduce my body fat percentage. I'm intending to go to a UP gym in London. I've been on your website, 6 or 12 week program. 3 stones, I would suggest you go for the 12, Raj. I'm always in the habit of trying to encourage people to leave themselves as much time as possible. The problem with shorter term transformations is it's good to have a short term goal because it means you're going to go really, really hard, but it can sometimes also leave you disappointed. So it's better to plan for the long term. So I'd recommend a 12, and either way, you're going to be in amazing hands with our London team. Ali Bell, what's up? Nav, what's up? Amazing, thanks man, great tip. No problem, Nav, I hope it's helpful to you. I really struggle with my weight and I've tried so many diets and want to find a fast way to do that. I hear that every single day, that I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried the other. And the majority of people, A, have not tried everything they think they've tried. B, they haven't tried it for long enough. and C, they certainly haven't been compliant on everything they've tried. If you want some help on how to do things right, go to upfitness.com and look at the Live Up plan. Alex, you look like a female judging by your picture. Look for Live Up online for women, and that will give you basically what works. I teach women how to diet properly, how to get there healthily, maintaining mental health and a good relationship with food. But I can guarantee you haven't tried everything. Zaina, if I've said that right, what's up? You're welcome, My Own Fitness. Coach Dan, what probiotics do you recommend and how would you integrate them in your day, i.e. with breakfast? Coach Dan, I use the UP ones now. I used to use VSL, which I used to get from a pharmacy out here in Spain, but now I can get our own probiotics delivered here to Spain. I use them. So I take a capsule basically with every meal. I take 3 capsules, well, my main meals, I would say eat about 6, but with 3 of them I take a capsule of probiotics, and that's how I sit in with it. Reason with that, with the majority of supplements, you're usually better taking them with meals unless specifically advised otherwise, just because some things can have a bit of a reaction on an empty gut, so take them with meals. You can go over to upfitness.com and just type probiotics, is it called that? No, sorry, it's called Gut Flora. Go to upfitness.com and type in Gut Flora, and you can get hold of some. Sophie, as a female, what size weights are best to start with to lose weight and not get too muscly? Sophie, lifting weights is not about getting muscly. If I ask you to grab your hand and put it between your legs, what do you feel? If it's testicles, you might have the possibility of getting big. If it's not testicles, you're probably not going to get big. With regards to the weight that you want to lift, you need to be lifting a weight as heavy as you can lift for the rep range that you've decided to lift for. So whether that be 8, whether that be 12, whether that be 15, whatever, you should be lifting as heavy as you can to really challenge yourself. Feel the burn, feel the sweat, get your body working. That's very, very important. You're not going to get big by doing that. You will get big if you are doing that or doing anything and you are eating too much. This is the key. If you are eating too much or you have a pair of testicles between your legs, then you might start to get big, but it's highly unlikely. Ali Bell, can L-glutamine help your gut? L-glutamine really can help your gut a lot. It can help with inflammation. It can help build up your body's natural anti-inflammatory responses, and it can also help to actually plug gaps in your gut. If you have damaged gut, glutamine can help to actually plug those gaps, I believe. So yes, absolutely. Marcus, what's up? Share, yo, Mandy, thumbs up. Best shoulder mobility stretches, Amy Morgan. For me, the simplest one, really simple one that I just love doing is just getting a rubber band, big elastic band, and just doing dislocations. You know, warming your shoulders up, even if you're not training. If you've got one of them at home and you just do dislocations day to day, absolutely awesome. You know, it just helps open your chest up, open your shoulders up, and obviously the closer you can hold the band at the starting position, the better, because it's going to dislocate your shoulders a bit more. But work to it gradually, don't strain yourself, and kind of expect a bit of clicking, because the majority of us are going to have that, just no pain. Coach Dan, no problem. Sophie, you're welcome. Share, best time of the day to train. There is no specific best time of day to train. Essentially, it is when you feel the best. When are you going to train the hardest? When do you get the most out of your session? That's first and foremost the best time of day to train. If that's kind of irrelevant and you train the same intensity, you train at the same level all the way through the day, then my advice is to get it out of the way early. If you get it done first thing in the morning, it is done. If you get it done first thing in the morning, it usually forces you to wake up earlier. If you wake up earlier, you become more productive, you become smarter, you become more energetic, your job will get better, your family life will get better, you become more productive, you'll be richer. Everything works better when you wake up earlier in the morning. So if you don't feel specifically better at any point during the day to train, then I advise getting it done in the morning, because at least then it's done and you can't get to the end of a long day or get kept at work or any of these things and then turn around and say, oh, do you know what, I can't be asked to train. At least if you get up first thing in the morning, it's done, it's finished, it's out of the way. You'd be amazed at what happens to the rest of your day. So will magnesium help sleep? It absolutely will. Magnesium is beyond phenomenal for sleep. It's such a simple thing, but really helps out with regards to proper recovery. Irrelevant of what you do, you're using a lot of magnesium day to day with regards to, you know, movement of your body. It's used in other processes in your body as well, so we can become deficient. Now, magnesium helps to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is kind of the way your body shuts itself down. It's the calming response. Now, what something like a sleeping tablet does is it synthetically puts you to sleep, which is why you feel groggy, you feel like shit. What magnesium does is it just gives your body what it needs to fall asleep itself, which is why you wake up in the morning feeling unbelievably fresh, amazing, and haven't had an awesome night's sleep. So yes, highly recommend taking magnesium. You can get onto our website, upfitness.com, pick up the magnesium in there, just type it in the search bar. And I recommend for the majority of people, dependent on you, your size, whatever, take between 250 and 400 milligrams per night. I take 400 personally. Thoughts on the rowing machine? I don't know, sometimes I think about food, sometimes I think about cars, all sorts of thoughts on the rowing machine. If you mean with regards to using it, use it. Awesome, awesome, awesome machine. Great for body, great for cardio, great for interval training. And what I really, really like about it specifically is because it's a pulling movement, it helps to rebalance the upper body structure. Lovely, thanks. You're welcome, Cher, not a problem. Right, we have got less than 50 seconds remaining, so quick fire questions before I have to bounce out of here. MCF, what are the vitamins you take? I take a multivitamin, I take a lot of vitamin D, really, really big fan of vitamin D. I take vitamin B6 and 12. I take sometimes vitamin C. I take zinc, magnesium specifically, and I take estro support every single day without fail. I'm trying to make my own training plan for myself, as it will be at home based, and I have no idea what days or how many days. Dedicate legs, upper body cardio tips. Sophie, if you're training at home, I'd recommend full body because you can get way more out of it. Don't do daily splits. Thanks for your advice, no problem. We're paused again. Oh no! Well, there we go. My Wi-Fi was up and down and up and down and up and down all day today, so we had lots of messing around there. I hope this has been helpful. Obviously, if you don't get to watch this live, you can, of course, put your comments in the box below. I'll put links to the UP Fitness website, supplements, etc. that we've mentioned today in that box also, so you can get your hands on it. If you want to get on here live, go to @UP_Fitness_Live. Description is down there, and you can join us face to face, face to screen, and ask me questions in real time. Also, get on over to my channel if you don't already. Follow me @ElliotUpton. And please, if you like this video, if you feel like it's got some interesting content and you think that other people could benefit from it, like, subscribe, share, put it out there to the world. And until not next week, the week after, I will see you very, very soon, YouTube. Bye-bye. Peace out.